say or walk away. I'll stand tall in this hell to pay. Ain't no power higher. We're the outlaws and outsiders.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the Heat Check Podcast. By now, you know who I am. My name is Mr. Chaos, but you can call me Mike. You can call me Chaos. You can call me Pac-Man. You can call me Pharrell. You can call me whatever you want. My partner in crime, my brother from another mother, literally the godfather to my oldest son, and uncle to all three of my children, PR, aka Sal. What's up, big dog?
Just another day in paradise, man.
Hell yeah, I feel you. I feel you. So we were talking off mic. Today's episode is not going to really be about sports at all. I had an interaction with one of my professors that surprised me. I'm in a class. For those of you guys who don't know, I'm enrolled in the sports broadcasting department that's ran by Dan Patrick out of Full Sail University. If you don't know who Dan Patrick is and you're a sports fan, then I think you've been living under a freaking rock for, 35 years.
Yeah.
Because that man's been on ESPN and Fox Sports and
he's
any
a
place
sports
that
broadcasting legend.
Yeah. So I'm in a class right now called Diversity in Modern Media. And when somebody like me who's been in colleges enough since I've got out of the Army to know that this is going to be all right, let's bash white people class. Like all white people are evil and you guys are ahead in the race and all this other stuff. So I went into this class like, all right, this is going to suck, but it's part of the curriculum and I got to get through it. And I emailed my professor and I said to her, because the first assignment was about privilege, white privilege, being a man, being straight, being a Christian, all this other stuff, being a veteran, being able-bodied, stuff like that, right? So there's all this, and I write my professor an email, and I said, look, this concept, I don't know if I can answer the way that I want to answer because I have a different viewpoint, obviously. I'm not a 19-year-old kid of color from Florida. I'm a 37-year-old white guy who lives in Texas, that has life experience beyond these kids having ever stepped out of their mama's basements. So I wrote to her and I said, listen, my views may not align with yours on everything. I said, you have to understand, I've been bashed so many times in colleges for being an old white guy, for being an out-of-touch white dude, or we don't want to hear anything from the man because when it's my body, it's whatever. So I've been bashed a lot, and I told her that. And essentially gave her a couple of instances in some of the worksheets and stuff where I was like, all right, I'm uncomfortable with this. Here's what this says, and here's why I disagree. And sent her the email, and it was professional, no swearing. It was just, hey, these are my concerns, whatever. In my head, I'm expecting, because she's a young Black woman, I'm kind of expecting some pushback and like, no, you have to think this way. And, this is what the course is. You're the type of person that this course is designed for, because I didn't get that. And this is what made me really embrace her as an instructor. She simply wrote an email back and she said, thank you for writing. And thank you for believing in this system enough to be open to having a discourse. Thank you for using your voice and not just dismissing the course. And, I understand. She was like, I get it. I've taught this class long enough to understand that, especially when you are the only white guy in the class, which I happen to be, sometimes it's like, look, you feel like, it is what it is. She was like, but I need you to understand that this class is not about you aligning your views with mine. It's not about you and other students coming together. It's about you seeing the facts as they're laid out, coming to your conclusion, and having intelligent discourse in a classroom environment. And not only that, but what if you get employed at ESPN? Or what if you get employed at WWE? Or what if you get employed at one of these giant multinational companies? and something comes up. She was like, I have never had a student leave this class and hate me. And she says, I take pride in that because your points are just as valid as my points. Your opinions and your point of view and your life experience are just as valid as anybody else's. And at the end of the email, I sat down with my wife and I said, it's the weirdest thing to have something happen to you over and over and over and over and over again. So you have this preconceived notion of how you're going to be received. And then one person breaks that cycle. And one person is decent and one person is willing to have a discussion. Dude, it literally made my day. That email made my day because it was like, this is what America is. We're allowed to disagree. We're allowed to have different points of views and have discussions about it. That email, dude, pretty much restored my faith in humanity that this younger generation isn't full of pricks who are trying to, cancel all white people or cancel all men or cancel all military. Or some people are very considerate and very thought out and very well spoken and want to hear your side. And for an old guy like me, for older guys like us,
I'm young.
Yeah, in your mind, we're both young. Don't forget, you were there for like my 22nd birthday party, and now we're
Yes. We don't have to relive those moments.
But this email, dude, it made my day because it was like we can have intelligent discussions and disagree.
Like for me, I have a gigantic platform on Facebook. Like I have a pretty huge following on Facebook. Why they want to follow me, God only knows why. However, do I trigger people on social media? Yes, I do. Do sometimes I do it for the pure enjoyment of people just losing their flat out mind? Absolutely. However, there is that part of me that I want to see how people will react to certain things that are very triggering, argumentative, and see how they respond to it. It's like, listen, us humans are not meant to agree on everything, on every topic, every situation, every scenario. It's just unfathomable, unrealistic for two people to think exactly the same. We may have a lot of things in common. We may agree on things, but there's still going to be certain things in life, regardless of what it is, whether it's religion, politics, sports, whatever the case may be. There's always going to be disagreements. It's just how we are built. However, we can still disagree without being a big old douche at the end of the day. You know what I'm saying? Like when I talk to somebody and I know that we're not going to end up agreeing, and that's fine. Perfect example. We're just going to throw it out there just for the hell of it. You and I had a discussion a few days ago on the sports chat about what Noah Lyles said about the whole world championship.
Yep.
We don't agree on the topic. That's irrelevant at this point. However, we were able to have this disagreement without chewing each other's head off or being
disrespectful.
Dickheads. Right. Because at the end of the day, sports is a debate almost in any which way you look at it. There's going to be disagreements in every which way. And we can have our disagreements. We can have our agreements. We can have our opinions. We can have our facts. At the end of the day, we had a discussion.
Yep.
And it didn't blow up into this, all right, man, forget you. I don't want to do this anymore. I'm done.
Yeah. No.
I'm like, because at the end of the day, these people don't pay us. They don't pay my bills.
Yeah.
They don't feed my family. I'm like, they're purely there for my entertainment, which is what they're doing.
Exactly.
And I don't understand why people tend to allow topics that can be triggering. I get it. I understand, especially depending on the topic, it can trigger people differently in different ways. But it's like, we're human. But at the end of the day, we're adults as well. Like you ain't got to come at me like I'm sideways. This is just like in the military. Listen, that rank on your chest don't make you better than me because I'll snatch it right off your chest and we can go out in the back in a motor
Yeah.
pool and we can handle this like two grown adults.
Yes,
I'm
absolutely.
like, I can
I
respect you as an adult, but don't come at me like I'm your child because
exactly.
I'm
That's the
not
thing.
that.
When it's so crazy because now you think about, or I think about, I've been in, this is my fourth different college since I've been out. And there's always one professor who sees a white guy who's a veteran, who's middle-aged or getting close to middle-aged, and they like to poke and prod and are you one of those racist ones? Can we make you say something that's hateful and then we're going to cancel you? Like that's what I was expecting. And to have it be completely the opposite and her be so willing to listen, like she may turn out to be this class may turn out to be one of my favorite classes just because of that initial interaction from what I thought was going to be a miserable class. I thought I was going to hate this class. And so far, I just got my first two grades. I got 100, 100, and a 95.
Again, we
It's
have
all
those
dependent on,
perception, but when you have that right mind going into something, again, you had that. Again, it's just based off of what you've been through already. You already have that mindset. All right, this is how this is gonna go, and it's just a trigger. It's just a
yeah,
switch that goes off in people's head that I've been through this already. I already have a 98% idea of how this conversation is gonna go because it always goes the exact same way. And then you get that one person, you're just like, well, I'll be damned. Like she don't see me in the lenses that society sees you as. So it gives you that breath of like, all right, something's again because these Gen Zs are, I don't know if that's the right term for these kids. I don't know. Because apparently we're millennials. I don't see how that works out, but whatever. Um, I'm like, everything doesn't have to be canceled just because you disagree with it.
yes,
It does not have to cancel. Now, if it's something that's to the point where it's degrading, it's dehumanizing, it's going against just flat out basic morals, then yes, we need to change it because this ain't working out. Because this ain't it. This ain't the way life is supposed to be. But if it's something that it's just because you feel like, um, I just don't like it. But why? Because I don't like it. So we're gonna cancel something because you don't like it.
yeah, exactly.
That's not how life works.
No,
It
and
it doesn't work that way.
it's this. Look, you and I grew up in the shadows of Vietnam veterans, right?
Yeah.
Those are the guys that, I mean, look, Desert Storm, yes, but really, Vietnam was the last significant group of these are the hardest motherfuckers in the world, right? So we grew up in the shadows of those guys. Those were our parents. My dad was a Vietnam era vet, just missed Vietnam by like 6 months. So those are the guys that grew up disciplining us and being
Yeah.
around us. And
We got whoopings.
oh,
We got whoopings, and we came out all right.
bro, I got it. Yeah,
We came out all right. I don't listen.
We
This
can't go into
whole
those stories.
this whole soft talking your kids to the point where I'm I'm just saying like this. We don't have to discipline my daughter like that anymore because we have
Mhm.
put the discipline in my child since she could walk. She could understand. My child knows but she's a child. I'm not expecting her to
Yeah,
understand everything. I know she's gonna make mistakes, but the fact that my child understands wrong from right, no, yes, what she can't do. Some of these people out here, especially the ones that don't have kids, want to tell me how to raise my kid. And I'm like, ma'am, sir, do you have children in your house? Well, no, but I've been
they
I
sh-
don't care what you went to
they
school
sh-
for. There's nothing that you could go to school for that could teach you to be a parent.
nope.
Being a parent is not something you can teach. It is something that you just learn on the go. And
And
even
your
after they're
being a
20,
parent
30 years old, you're still going to learn something new.
and your parent experience is going to be different than mine.
Because
which is going to be
every
different
child
than,
is different.
yes. This is the thing is like, I I have this issue with my kids' teachers sometimes, right? Where I tend to be, very military in my discipline,
Mhm.
very yell, point, intimidate. Never any threats, never any, physical violence. Like
Just put the little fear of God in them.
yes, we used to spank our kids. I used to spank our kids, but it doesn't work for them anymore. Like it just
Right.
doesn't. Because one, let's be honest, we can't get away with the same shit that our parents got away with.
Them bruises don't look so good now that they did 20, 30 years ago.
Exactly. You came to school with a bruise.
You know what happened.
Teachers are like,
Y-
oh, you
y-
fucked up, didn't you? Yes.
your parents must have got my phone call from
Yeah.
today.
Yeah. Oh, your parents found out you were skipping.
Got it. Understood.
Okay. And then you left and it wasn't a big deal because you were still alive. You still were functioning. Your parents were
Still
still
got a place to
feeding you
lay
and
your
taking
head
care of
on.
you.
You still got food. You still got clothes. So at the end of the day, you got what was coming your way, but you're
Yeah.
still getting taken care of. So stop crying.
And I'm not saying that should continue, right? Like I'm not telling you to beat your kids. Like I know kids who got beat with an extension cord. Like I'm not saying any of that should continue. But what I'm saying is like there has to be, there has to be a point where parents look at their kids and say, you're not going to get along with everybody.
Period.
But that doesn't give you a right to be a dickhead to somebody because you disagree with that person.
Right.
Like, I've had to sit down. My 10-year-old, if you guys don't know, my 10-year-old is autistic and he has struggles at school. I literally had to sit down with him today and tell him, stop being a dickhead. Not exactly in those manners because, his teachers were there, but essentially
Then
told him, stop being a dick. And he understands, like, he's getting, like, we let our kids have their tablets till 9:30 and that's bedtime. He understands because he had a rough day today. He only gets it till 8:30. There are consequences, right? Like,
right.
it's I think you have to understand and parent every kid differently too. That's the thing is like you have Liv.
Yeah.
You focus your attention on Liv. That's your attention. That's where your attention goes.
But not even with just that. But I'll let you finish. Go ahead. My bad.
But what I am, not saying that raising Liv is any easier than raising my kids, but your daughters are a freaking saint compared to a lot of kids I've been around. I'm not saying she's perfect. I'm just saying compared to
But I get what you're saying. Like there's definitely kids out there that you be looking at them at the grocery store, you be like, I'm just gonna let this kid talk
Oh
to you
yeah.
like that?
Oh yeah. Like, wait.
What happened in here?
Yeah,
What are we
wait.
doing?
If I would have done this in the store, my mom would have snatched me by my
Listen,
hair.
I'm gonna tell you 2 stories after
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
done.
Go ahead. Go ahead. You
So
good?
the first thing when it comes to Liv, so my wife, Maya, we didn't start dating till Liv was almost 2 years old, right? So she wasn't there initially. So initially it was just for about a year and a half, almost 2 years. It was just me and Liv. I was a single father with a girl. And being a dad with a girl is hard. You know what I'm saying? Not having the help of a woman there, it's not the easiest task in the world in this generation, right? And so Maya came in and she was that calming angel that I needed for her. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like it's one thing when you have a son and you're disciplining him. It looks still bad because people still frown upon disciplining your children, regardless of gender. But when
boys
it's
will be boys.
boys, when it's a father to a boy, it looks a little not so
Yeah.
egregious. Me doing it to a girl, my daughter, it's like you're gonna do that to your child.
Yeah.
Somebody gotta get her.
Yeah, because if not, if I don't correct her and she starts acting like an asshole, you're gonna complain how I was a bad father.
That's where Maya would step in. And to this day, Maya is she Liv is not scared of me, but she knows not to try my life. However, that woman in there, now this is the thing, them two are like best friends. You know what I'm saying? They call each other, they broke best friends. But Liv knows, she knows not to disappoint that woman.
Oh, I can testify to that.
That fear of disappointment,
Yep.
when she knows that she's messed up, and I'll ask her, she'll be like, "What's wrong?" She goes, "I think mommy's gonna be mad at me." And she goes, "Well, what about me?" I was like, "I know you're gonna be mad at me, but mommy's gonna be really upset." I'm like, So your fear for me being angry is not as big as your fear for her being angry.
Nope, because you're dad. You're always gonna be dad. You're always gonna be, I need to protect my
And
baby.
this is the thing. When she was little and I would discipline her, she had nobody else to run to. So she'd go to her room, be angry, and then she'd come back and be like, "Daddy, I'm sorry." And
Yep.
I gotta console my baby because I'm like,
Yeah, it's your daughter.
it's a daddy's girl. Who am I to say
Yeah.
no? But
If you
it's
didn't
like,
console your daughter, you'd be a heartless bastard.
and so the first time that happened to Maya and Liv realized that she messed up, she was like 4 years old. And she did, I forgot what she did, but she did something real bad. She had to go to bed super early. And she called me and she goes, "Daddy, I want to tell mommy I'm sorry." And she went to her and Maya was like, "Babe, can she go to sleep at 8:30 like regular?" Like, hell nah. She
Nope.
going to bed right
Yeah.
now. And so Maya has a soft spot for her, but at the end of the day, we all know that Maya is, when it comes to Olivia, she's the disciplinary as far as like she's the hammer when it comes to the final say of what's going to happen. She'll ask me for my opinion, but we all know whatever punishment she says is, I can't help you.
Look, man,
The-
I
the-
can I
I
can
can only
attest,
do so much for you.
yeah, I can attest to this fact. When I went down for Sal's wedding, I met Maya, sweetest woman you could ever hope to meet.
Yeah,
Her
yeah.
mom, sweetest woman you could ever hope to meet.
They
But let
two
me tell
pieces
you
of the
something.
pie.
Miss B put the fear of God into my grown ass. She's the type of woman
And
that
the apple don't fall far from the tree.
I was like, you're such an amazing person. She was generous. Let us all into her house. It was real cool. Cooked, delicious. Everything was good, right? But
Absolutely.
Miss B said something to Myron, and it was just a quick little bark, and I was like, oh my God, like that woman will steal your soul. It was
And
just,
so,
it was the slightest little
listen,
tiniest thing. But if you've ever been around a black family, and I've been around a bunch of black families, you know when the
don't do
mama
that.
gets a certain way, everybody shuts up. Yes, ma'am. And
And
that's
this is the
exactly what
thing.
happened.
And so when I got out the military, I was 23, right? My little sister was 14 years old, just got into high school, or she was going into high school because I got out in the summer of 2010. She was out, I was coming in, she was coming out the house. I was going to visit my mom for the weekend. My mom told her clear as day, because I heard her. My hearing was still good then. Told her clear as day, say, "Mija, make sure your room is clean before you go to your friend's house for the weekend." You know what my sister said? Before the
Oh.
door could even close, "I'll clean it when I get back." And just walked out the door. And I'm like, "Ma, you just gonna let her walk out the door?" She's like, "I'm too tired." I'm not. Because if I was 14 and I'd have said that, I'd have never made it out the house, let
Yeah.
alone out the room.
Yeah.
She's like, because I remember clear as day the first time I talked back to my mother. It was the dumbest idea I ever did. Because I remember I was 14 years old. I just got out of football practice. I just got my first growth spurt. I was like, maybe at the time I was like 5'4", 5'5". My mom is a good 5 foot even. So I got 4-5 inches on this woman. And I'm big, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And for the people that don't know, I'm Puerto Rican.
Yeah.
So that's self-explanatory in itself. If you ever been around Hispanic parents, they some scary individuals. When I tell you my mother gave me the biggest right hook I ever seen a 5 foot woman throw, she goes, "You got something else to say?" "Nah, I'm gonna go clean my room."
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. I'm telling you, dude, it's a different time. Like I remember,
But you can't do that these days.
no, dude, not the same thing. But I was a young idiot in high school, 16, 17 years old. And I had skipped school and went out, was smoking weed with a bunch of friends. And we're out by the creek, Came home on the bus, so I figured, because back then they sent a note home with you. They didn't call because you didn't have cell phones. So the high school, my teacher was like, here's your note, whatever. Like, we know you're absent, this, that, and that, whatever. So I was like, I'm smarter than this shit. My dad has a shredder. My dad has a shredder. I'm gonna go shred the letter. What I didn't know was
Go
that
ahead. Go ahead.
my mother was best friends with my school secretary. So when my school secretary got home, because the school secretary been around me my entire life. Like, me and my little brother were adopted when I was 7 years old. That school
Yeah.
secretary had been around me since then, and I was almost 17 then. So she knew after 10 years, this little bastard thinks he's slick.
Yeah.
Called my mom. My dad was doing something out of town for computers, so my mom came home early, and this is back in the days when you could work at Burger King and pay for a house. My mom worked at Burger King. And
Minimum
came
wage
home,
actually meant something.
yeah, came home, and she looked at me. She was like, "You got something to tell me?" I said, "No." She
Ooh, I
said,
remember them days.
she said, first of all, it's no, ma'am. Second off, you're gonna lie to my face. I said, I don't know what you're talking about. She was like, Cheryl called me today. Why weren't you in school? I said, I don't know what you're talking about. She was like, give me the letter. I said, I don't have a letter. You can check my bag. Check my bag. She was like, you think I'm dumb. You think I'm stupid. So she went, opened up the shredder. I had already gotten rid of the pieces of the shredder. So she was like, okay. She was like, all right,
You
wait till
thought
your
you was
father.
doing something.
She said, wait till your father gets home. I said, man, fuck you and him.
That'll do it.
She said, what
That'll
did you
do
say?
it.
I said, fuck you and fuck him.
You didn't
My
value
mom,
your life that day.
oh, bro, I should not exist anymore. My mom is small in stature like yours. My mom's maybe 5'1", 5'2". I'm 5'6", 5'7" at this time. So, and I'm super skinny because I was wrestling. So I was in good shape. Running around the
That
house,
wouldn't
running
mean
around the house,
nothing.
running around the house, run down the block, go to the mailbox. My mom's like, all right, you got to come home sometime.
That line used to piss me off
Bro.
so much, bro, because she was right.
She was like, you got to come home sometime. So I went to my homeboy Zach's house. His mom came out. She was like,
You
you're
better
not
go
avoiding
home.
her. She was like, you're not avoiding her for me. That's not happening. She was like, I love you, but you got to go home. And I was like, fuck. Because it was like a
I
4-block
hated
walk.
that line. I
It was like
hated that
4
line.
blocks. So I'm walking and I'm taking my sweet ass time. And I'm like, all right, she about to whoop my ass when I get home. Nothing. Didn't tell me nothing. Walked up to my room. Everything was gone. She packed my sheets, my pillows, threw all of it in the trash. She was like, all right, motherfucker, you got fuck me and fuck him? Okay, so you're going to buy yourself a new bed. You're going to buy yourself new sheets. She made me refurnish my entire room by myself. And then at the end of however long this took, I think it was like 3 or 4 weeks, right? One day I come home from school, my mom lets me get this false sense of security, like, oh, we're good. She forgot about it.
Eh.
Hell no. I come home from school one day, walk into the kitchen. Cheryl, the school secretary, sitting there. My mom's sitting there, and my dad is sitting there. And my mom was like, you gonna lie to my fucking face again? And I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. My mom got up, bro. I had here this entire. I had my mom's handprint on my face for probably 3 weeks. She smacked the shit out of me. I was not allowed to, man, bro.
Listen,
I never after that, to this day, when my dad passed away, I didn't swear in front of my mom at my dad's funeral. And that's only 5 years. I was 30 plus years old. I don't swear in front of my mom.
let me tell you about my mother. This woman is the most. This is 2 different types of punishments that she gave me in my lifetime that are completely opposite of polar opposites that I don't understand how this woman thinks this way. So the first one, I was about 11 years old. You in the summer, I'm pretty sure you had the same rule. It don't matter how whatever day of the week it is, as long as you back in this house for that street light come on. I don't care what you're doing. You better
Yep.
be in this house before that light come on. And what happens is we also had a light because we lived in the corner on the street, the corner street.
Oh,
So
so y'all
we
had
had
a
a
light
light pole
right
right
there.
there in the house. So there's no excuse.
You ain't getting away from shit.
So one day, my brave human body at 11 years old decided, bump that light. It's the middle of the summer. I'm with the homies. I'm like, we chilling. It's like 10 o'clock. The light been on. The light been on.
Oh,
So I'm inside. I go inside. I'm just going inside to get some water, and I was gonna head right back outside because we just gonna be sitting on the street on the sidewalk in front of the house. That was the plan. My mom's sitting there in the living room, and my mom had these old couches that she's had since we was little kids with the plastic on it still. She's sitting on the couch with this belt in
every
her hand.
Puerto Rican mom I know
Listen, I swear to
has
God.
had the
So
same set of couches for like 40 years,
she's had
bro.
the same couch. She
Oh,
didn't get new couches till we was like 19, 20 years old. That's when she finally got new couches.
you were already in the army.
The
That's
only thing
funny.
that changed, is she reupholstered it. That's it. Other than that, it was the same wood, same everything. It's just different color.
Oh, that's funny.
So she's sitting on the couch with this belt. She's like, "So, what you doing?" I'm like, "I'm just gonna get some water and I'm gonna go back outside." Oh, you going back outside? And she pick up the belt from the arm stand. She goes, "So, where do you want this at? Your room or my room?" My room was in the front, and I'd already broke. It was like a like 2-layer
Yeah.
glass, and I broke the outside of the layer glass, so you could hear everything that goes on in my room. So I'm like, "Nah, we're going your room in the back of the
Yeah.
house. They ain't gonna hear these
Homeboys can't
licks."
hear me.
And so my mom's old school. You
Yes, she is.
dropping everything. You getting leather to skin. So I'm leaned over the sink in the bathroom, and she's just wailing on me, and I'm just standing there, and I tell her, pause for a second. I'm like, let me switch sides. This side getting kind of red, and I start chuckling, and this is where my life changed forever. She said, "What's so funny?" She goes, "It's just funny that you still think this hurts." She goes, "Oh, it don't
Yep.
hurt."
Yep.
She came back with a 2x4, hit me twice. And she goes, "Now I want you to take your little ugly ass outside and tell your friends you're not coming out for the next 2 weeks while you crying."
Yep.
Then, when was this? This is the second scenario. I was
Just for the
17.
record, I have met Sal's mother multiple
She's
times.
mean. She's a
not
lovely
mean.
human being. She's
She
mean,
she is a sweet lady. She is adorable. But
not to me.
well, you're her son. She's supposed to be a demon to you. But do you remember at your wedding or at the rehearsal when the minister couldn't say your last name? And like 9 of us had to correct the minister at the same time.
Listen,
It's like me, Maya, you, your mom,
it was a lot.
As, Jonathan, everybody. And we're like,
It
it's
was a
not that
lot.
complicated. It's like 4 syllables.
So I'm 17. At this time of my life, I was experimenting with marijuana. You know, it was a great time in my life, whether I want to admit it or not.
Oh,
It wasn't the smartest decisions I was making.
I was gonna say, I
However,
can imagine.
I had a stash in my room, and I had
Mama
it there
found
for
it.
a while, right? So this is the thing how I know I'm in trouble when I get home from school. One, my blinds are open. That means my room is a mess, and my mom cleaned my room. Right? That's how I
Yes.
know.
Okay.
Or two, when I walk into my house, my door is open and everything's on the floor. That's how I know I'm in trouble, right? In this scenario, the blinds were open, but not like usual. Usually she just twisted them.
Yeah.
This time the whole goddamn blind was up.
Hold up.
So everybody could see that my room was spotless, right? So I walk into my room, and on my desk is the box opened up with the pipe, with the lighter, and the rest of the bag. And then she just comes in. She goes, "Mijo, is that yours?" She goes, and I'm like, I can't lie, nigga.
Yeah.
Clearly it's mine.
You know it's mine.
So I'm like, yeah, that's mine. And she goes, am I gonna get a whooping again? She goes, no, I'm just disappointed in you. And then walks away.
Oh,
I was like, you raggedy mother.
she knew.
I was like, God damn, man.
Look, man, I don't care what nobody says. No son wants to disappoint his mother. Look, there's certain people in your life that you hold dear. Now, before I proceed with that statement, I will say my life is completely different and I don't have the same relationship with my mother and or mothers, because I'm adopted, that I used to. But you never want to hear your mom say, I'm not mad.
I'm just disappointed. And it's like it's worse. I would have rather got beat.
Oh yeah.
Than her saying that. I can recover from that. You know what I'm saying? Like, because I don't know how long I got to make up for this disappointment.
For the rest of your life.
You know what I'm saying? So it's just like,
look, mothers make it feel like this is why mothers are the most angelic and the most evil people in the same breath. Because if a mother tells you she's disappointed in you, it automatically feels like, all right, I'm going to spend the rest of my life trying to earn my mother's trust back, my mother's respect back, right? Like,
yeah.
But I do want to I want to interject one sports thing that I just saw you posted in our sports group. Travis Kelce may miss game 1.
And I drafted him.
Woo.
You know how irritating that is? That boy's supposed to be my carrier for my points, and that hurts my chest.
What he had to straighten
hyperextended his kney. So there's not saying that he might not make it. He's not. He's just dated. He's questionable right now.
This is what, year 14 for him, right? Something like that, 13, 14. So he, it's got to be.
This hurts. This hurts in my league, man. I'm like, the season hasn't even started yet, and my season's already in jeopardy in fantasy football. Like, this is ridiculous. Why does this always got to happen to me?
You know what's funny is I'm the one who nominated Travis Kelce because I wanted him, because I had him last year. He's the reason I got close to even beating Myron last year.
And guess who sent me the first trade request?
Riot.
I'm like, get out my line. I'll give you George Kittle for what? Because what lopsided trade this man gonna want?
That's funny. I just got claimed Washington's defense, so I have 2 defenses. That's the only thing I'm waiting on the waiver wire for. I will tell you though, you guys, for y'all that don't know, we are in a fantasy football league that I started together.
Things like what? No, you're number 5 or 4?
4 or 5, something like that.
No, because Myron got 3. No,
Ryan
2.
got 1.
Ryan got 3, so he got 3. So this is year 5.
Year 5.
This is year 5.
We decided this year, Myron and I are co-GMs or league
commissioners.
And co-commissioners. And Paul is like the special advisor to both of us because he knows both of us, and we both trust him that if we can't make something happen, he can make it happen. So we decided to do a salary cap draft this year.
And it's been hilarious.
It was, bro, there were some glitches that happened that I was just like, all right, look, I understand why you're mad. I'd have been mad if I paid that much for Tony Pollard too.
I paid $62 for Travis Kelce for him to be hurt game 1. You know how upsetting that is?
Yes, I do. That's
more than a quarter of my $200.
Don't forget, the only reason I lost the championship last year is because I sat DK Metcalf. So yes, I do know how frustrating that is.
When does the waiver wire clear? Because I need to add somebody
tomorrow or tonight or tomorrow at 2 a.m. is when the waiver wire clears. But speaking of, Thursday's the start of the football season.
Yes, I am excited.
You guys play Sunday this week?
We play Sunday at 4. My brother and a few of the guys are coming to watch the Bears and Packers game, of course, and then we're gonna stay for the main event of Dallas and and
New
the
York.
Giants. See
Yeah.
how that pans out. I'm like, I'm
God,
not
I
gonna
hope-
hold you. I'm not gonna hold you. This week one has some pretty heavy hitters as far as matchups to start off the season. The
Bro.
fact that the Lions get to be in the season kickoff, that speaks volumes of what they think of the potential of the Lions can be. Because that's not no little.
No.
That's not a little
In
feat to
game
have.
one, last year's game one was Buffalo and the Super Bowl champs.
And so you're good. You're putting the Super Bowl champs against a team that's been historically not been great. You
But
know,
they also have the best head coach they've probably had in their history.
they got a decent
Jared
receiving
Goff.
core. Their defense is pretty legit.
Their running
Like,
back room is nice.
so I'm like, on paper they have a nice team to go against Kansas City. Now, if Kansas City goes off into Thursday without Travis Kelce and no Chris Jones on defense, that's a recipe for an upset.
I forgot Chris Jones still hasn't signed.
No, he's still holding out. So you're gonna have two of your needle movers, like the guys that make your teams on each side of the ball missing, like hearts, like big hearts. Like these
Travis, I mean Travis Kelce literally is
because their next best receiver is who? Tooney, whatever.
Sky Moore.
Who?
Yeah, the second year receiver. Yeah.
So and it's not taken away from them because Patrick Mahomes is gonna make anybody look great. But I'm like, to not have your weapon.
Yeah. I mean, they literally the impact that Travis Kelce has on the Chiefs. You could equate him to Jay Jettas on the Vikings. You could equate him to Jamar Chase on the Bengals.
You're losing that hands.
AJ Brown on the Eagles. Like
even for San Francisco, you lose Deebo Samuel. You're losing
or CMC.
Like you're losing that piece that defines. All right, what can we do now that we don't have it? And again, it's not saying that Andy Reid is not going to figure something out.
But Chris Jones,
but you can't go in there thinking that not having those two on the field is not going to be significant.
Yeah, it's gonna have an effect. I love Travis Kelce because I'm a fan of Jason Kelce, and I think Travis Kelce is just as good of a dude off the field. Personally, I hate the Chiefs for stealing Jalen's first Super Bowl for some bullshit. But we got a chance to whoop that ass again. It's okay. Just like we're gonna put the whiners in the dirt this year too. We play Sunday in Foxborough, 425. And the thinking is the Eagles and Pats. The thinking is that they're expecting Jalen Carter to have 4 sacks that game because of how bad New England's O-line is. If Jalen Carter gets game 1 4 sacks,
the thing that I'm more concerned about is because
and he's effective against the run.
Because y'all are so stacked. You know what I'm saying? Is if your expectations of him having this kind of impact as a rookie, who's getting taken away from this equation? Who's taking a step back? You know what I'm saying? To the point where it's not going to hurt the overall end result of what y'all trying to achieve. You know what I'm saying? Because you still want Fletch to be that guy. But we all know that, hey, Fletch, you're on your way out, right?
Yeah,
not in a disrespectful way, but you got to understand that when you draft somebody like Jalen Carter's capability and ultimately expectations in the same position as your current one of your big guys on the defensive line, your expectation is this my replacement?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it is. And that's the great thing too, is like so I'm a big fan of watching. I don't know if you're subscribed to like the Bears YouTube channel and you watch all the.
I watch it. I try to keep tabs on what I got every now and then.
I watch all of the Eagles behind the scenes stuff. I watch other Eagles podcasters. Hell, I watch other just sports podcasters in general. But the thinking is, Fletch and Brandon Graham both know this is probably their last year.
Yeah.
Same thing with Jason Kelce and maybe even Lane Johnson, right? Those are the 4 horsemen of Philadelphia. Those are the guys who are our leadership council. So I think what's cool about it, though, is if you if you ever watch like the practice film, Jalen Carter and Fletch they're attached at the hip
Right.
because Fletch is saying like, look, dude, you have raw talent. Raw talent's not enough in the NFL. The worst center that you go against in the NFL is better than the best offensive lineman you win against at Georgia. It just is. The game is faster here. The game is better here. The game is bigger here. So the reason I was okay, I really honestly wanted Bijan on Philly. I wanted Bijan bad, but I was okay when Bijan went to Atlanta because
Again, that goes back to
it was
necessity or
yeah.
just the sheer fact of having the star name on your team. Again,
Exactly.
but does Bijan Robinson, would that have made y'all better? Probably.
Yeah, but not in the
Does it
not,
take away from what's already in place as of right now?
yes. Because I think significantly I love Bijan and I think he's going to have a hell of a future in the
Who
NFL.
would take the back seat if y'all would have drafted him? That's the question.
And that's the problem is I wanted Bijan. But when the Falcons took him, I was like, okay, Kenny Gainwell's been having 100-yard games in the playoffs for us. Boston Scott is a monster at returns. Like, we have a good backfield. And then we picked up Rashad Penny. And then on the third day of the draft, we picked up DeAndre Swift. So I was like, all right, you know what? Howie's being Howie.
Right.
I'm good. I think, who do you guys got week 1?
We got, as far, we played.
You got the Packers, you said,
We got
right?
the Packers at the 3 o'clock game.
All right.
And
you guys got Packers. We got the Pats. It's going to be interesting this week, bro.
I'm like, I feel like we always start with the Packers. Either we're over there or they're here.
Division rivalry.
Regardless, we always start with the Packers and we end the season with the Packers. It's been like that since tradition. I can freaking remember.
It's tradition.
And it's like we have to take one of them. We have to take one of them. And it's like, preferably I would want both, but I'm like, my expectations this year, I feel like win-wise, I think we said it before. I think my realistic expectations are between 6-7 games, and
that's double what you won last year. So
I'm okay with that. What I want to, I'm like, do we have a shot at the division? Possibly. There's a very small potential window. Because anything can happen, you know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Injuries happen, things happen. You know, it's just the way the game is. You never know what can happen. I'm like, this is the one season that I've probably had in a long time where I don't know what the hell is going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, you guys. This is what kills me about what Poles did this offseason for you guys, right? Like the draft, he drafted an O-lineman. Fantastic. And from everything that I'm seeing, a really good O-lineman.
The potential's there. Very, very much so.
But one O-lineman solves not all of your problems.
No.
So
that's why I think we need to win games to attract people with either within the season or next offseason.
Yeah.
But losing is not going to cut it. And this is my thing. The thing that's bothering the most about what like the chatter when it comes to us is, I don't know if you saw that post that I shared about the comparison between Fields and Jamarcus Russell.
Yes.
This dude, this is my thing. Wins and losses mean everything when it comes to quarterback. I get it. It's a very big portion of, their statistical value when it comes to the Hall of Fame and where you rank them at what tier, all that stuff. Because to say that doesn't matter is ridiculous.
Yeah.
However, to say that you're comparing him to Jamarcus Russell when they're two completely different athletes on two different sides of the spectrum. Because then one other dude went and shared, well, if you're going to compare him to Jamarcus Russell, let's do the same thing with Troy Aikman. Because when Troy Aikman played for his first 3 years or 4 years, he was like 7 and something. So, and he ended up winning 3 Super Bowls.
Yeah.
So, and he's in the Hall of Fame. And he's probably one of the most well sought out broadcasters right now on ESPN. You know what I'm saying? So,
yeah.
to compare solely him to him as Jamarcus Russell by just the wins and losses, to me, saying that if he doesn't do better than Jamarcus Russell in wins and losses, then he's a bust. But you're not looking at the whole spectrum. Stat wise, where do
Yeah.
they compare? Jamarcus Russell's nowhere on the planet with Justin Fields, stats wise. And this man can't even study film, let alone know how to run play. And
Yeah.
they
Jamarcus-
gave him an empty disc to look at plays and lied about it to his coach in his face. And you want to compare that to Justin Fields?
Yeah, what's crazy to me is this. Jamarcus Russell had natural ability. I saw him play at LSU. Everybody saw him play at LSU. He had good talent. He was lazy as fuck. He didn't want to study. He didn't want to take.
He didn't take the game seriously.
Let's think about. I'm going to throw out some big quarterbacks, and they're all going to have a couple of things in common. Peyton Manning, Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts, Troy Aikman.
Mm-hmm.
First couple years in the league, they all sucked.
Peyton
All of
Manning
them.
definitely sucked.
Josh Allen, before he got Stephon Diggs, yes, he could still run, but he sucked. His arm talent was trash. You know why? Because he didn't have somebody who could improvise and get open when Josh Allen needed him to be open. Jalen Hurts, look, Jalen Hurts' first year as a starter was rocky.
Yeah.
Super rocky. But we ended up getting to the playoffs. Now, granted, Tom Brady and the Bucks smacked the shit out of us.
But
we
you've
got
also
there.
gotten progressively better every year as him as a starter, because you've built around him, you've given him weapons, you've perfected that line, you've beefed up the defense. You're doing what you're supposed to do as
Yes.
a team to make sure that your quarterback, which is by far the most important person on your team, is one, protected and set up for success.
Yes. And
Period.
not only set up for success, but understands the expectations of the city and the franchise around him. When we just paid Jalen $250 million, I think it's not quite that much,
But somewhere over there.
somewhere around there, with like 180 guaranteed. Jalen understood the game.
Target's on you now.
Yeah, it has just changed. Because last year you were on a rookie deal. They put a bunch of pieces around you, offensively and defensively, and said, all right, let's see what your ceiling is.
And this is the thing.
Your
Even
ceiling
if
is
he
the fucking
performed,
Super Bowl.
and this is the thing, even if he performs stat-wise to roughly around the same level that he did last year, and this is the thing, granted, he missed 2 games last year. So now if he's able to play all 17 games or 16 games, however you want to see it,
Yeah.
it's going to prove that if he can stay at the level and still, let's just say, worst case scenario, he can just make it to the NFC Championship. To say that in 2 years in a row, as a 2 full year starter, he's been able to take his team to the NFC Championship 2 years in a row, I would say that not only is he earning his check, he's proving that all these doubters that thought that this last year was a fluke, they're wrong. Because even Joe Burrows, again, went to the Super Bowl. Did he lose? Yes. But he also took them back to the AFC Championship again.
And
So,
everybody has cemented Joe Burrow as one of their top 5 quarterbacks. in the
So
league.
again, if he's able to do the same thing, replicate the same thing again, whether he gets to the Super Bowl or not, but if he gets to the championship game again 2 years in a row, regardless of what the end result is, again, he's proving everybody that he still has time to close the deal, because he's able to take his team, regardless of how much he's getting paid, and take them far into deep playoff runs. And at the end of the day, you want your quarterback to be able to be trusted to make those deep playoff runs to the point where at some point he's going to cash in and get you that Lombardi trophy and bring it back to Philly. Or, that, because at the end of the day, every season starts at, I'm going to make it to the Super Bowl and I'm bringing that Lombardi trophy back home. Regardless.
And if it doesn't, you're wrong. If your team doesn't feel that way, you're wrong. What the fuck are you playing for?
Regardless of how much you suck or not, every year when you start 0-0, your intention is to be like,
I want to win the Super Bowl.
By January, I'm going to be in the playoffs, and by February, I'm in the Super Bowl raising that trophy.
Yeah. I mean,
whether I am the meaningful piece that got us there or I am just a byproduct of the cogwheel.
Doesn't matter.
I know that I did my part.
Yep.
To bring that trophy home.
I think watching Fields and obviously being in the sports broadcasting department, I have to do a lot more research than your average fan does. So I've
Yes.
watched interviews with Justin Fields and former athletes. I've watched interviews where people are talking about, oh, Justin Fields has the potential to be this, and I've studied film on Justin Fields. Right. The thing about Justin Fields is he needs to be protected. If you give him 3 seconds instead of a second and a half, the difference is night and day. That if you double his time, look what happened to Jalen.
And allow the routes to come clear
Yes.
and give them the receivers to be open. You're giving him that time to be
Yes.
like, okay, I'm going to dot you right here because now I got an extra 2 seconds to make sure that that ball is where it's supposed to be and I'm not rushing it to you.
Yes.
And then I'm getting picked off.
Yes, you need to start with that. That's the thing, right? Like you guys have pieces that are coming together finally. Like everything is starting to slowly roll.
I'm still scared though.
But the thing is, you need probably at least one more guard. My wife's being silly. You need one more guard and at least 2 tackles, right? Like you got to upgrade on your tackles.
Yeah.
That's the one thing that I think if Poles watches Howie, what I've noticed from Howie is Howie builds the trenches in the draft.
And I would
Always.
say these are my top 3 people I feel like that are building teams correctly right now. At least 2.
Yeah.
It's you guys. The Niners are building with I didn't know Lynch was that kind of mind because the way that he's building this team,
It's
because
insanity.
it's insane. You know what I'm saying? And to allow Shanahan to basically pick the players that he wants as a team. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's working. And then I would say before Brady left, Belichick, that mind of how he built his teams for them 20 years that Tom Brady was there, like he built a dynasty over there.
Yeah.
And the branches of coaches that he was able to put out
Yeah.
into the world. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Those minds are built different. So when you have that kind of mindset that you're like, okay, let me see what we have now. And then as the season progresses, I'm going to be like, okay, this is what we need to work on next year. And it's like, I feel like this is going to be the project year for Poles this year because this is his first full year where he actually had all his hands involved in everything. And so I think this will be his year of being able to be that surgeon. Okay, my first year is under my belt. All right, let's go into 2024 and figure out what we got to do next. Let me show this man, Ryan. I love him. He's my cousin, because I'm married to his cousin. But he wants me to give up my RB1 for George Kittle.
Who's your starting tight end?
Travis Kelce.
No, absolutely not.
I'm like, first of all,
I'm
not giving up.
You could have like TJ Hawkinson as your tight end too and be fine.
That's what I'm saying. I'm going to wait till tomorrow and I'm going to pick up a tight end in the free agency and I'm just going to suck it up for a week.
Hey, hold on, Paul. Give me a minute real quick. Something's going on.
Go ahead.
Here.
All right.
All right, guys. Sorry about that. I had some personal business to deal with. But look, man, this season's going to be dope. It starts on Thursday, Detroit versus Kansas City. I think it's going to be
it's going to be a banger.
It's going to be an interesting one too. There's some teams that I think people are sleeping on that, like Detroit, like Seattle, that are going to surprise people again. But then there are people, there are teams like the Giants who people swear are going to be good, who that's not going to happen.
You don't think the Giants are going to be good?
No. I think after the ass whooping that Dak and the Cowboys put on them in week 1, I think Daniel Jones is going to retreat back into his Mr. Turtle shell. And
not Turtle shell.
We're going to start seeing him sail passes 80 yards past his receivers again. I'm not a Danny Dime guy. He's like the Wish version of Eli.
You know who is? The Giants. They're paying him $40 million a year.
$40 million. Oh man, Mara family, you guys suck. Y'all are so dumb.
Let
Anyways,
that
look,
sink in.
you guys, thank you for listening to this. Again, this episode wasn't very heavily sports related.
Related.
Um, and we had another thing that we're gonna get into, and I'm gonna give you a chance to watch that again so we can kind of re-delve into it.
Yeah.
Um, there might be days where I just don't feel like talking about a whole lot of sports, and I just want to have a conversation. So there might be episodes like this. Um, if you guys don't like it, you can write to me at yourheatchecksports@gmail.com. You could write to me at yourheatcheck on Twitter. Your Heat Check Sports on, actually, let me see what the Instagram is because I had to change it. Because 87 freaking underscores is not working for the kid. Your Heat Check Sports on Instagram. If you have a complaint, you have an issue, I can't guarantee you that I'll care, but you can address it with us and we'll go from there. We do have merch. Go on our Twitter page. The link tree is right there. It'll show you our merch store, youtube.com/ the Heat Check Podcast. Find us where iTunes, Spotify, Spreaker, anywhere that podcasts are out. You got anything you want to say before we peace out of this thing?
No, man, it was a good day. I look forward to our next episode after game one. It's going to be interesting. I will be from a different location,
Yes.
but we will still be in this thing live.
We will definitely be here. Paul will just not be
In Texas.
broadcasting from the Bear Cave. He'll be in some other location,
Yeah.
remotely throughout the world. We could play Where's Waldo, and y'all can see if you could find Paul.
You
but
won't.
It's such a random location that I doubt you would. I doubt you would. But look, thank you guys for listening. Again, I'm not going to go into the full rant that I normally go into, but if you're struggling with your mental health, please get help. Reach out to me, reach out to Paul. We have resources. So we love you guys. Thank you for listening. I'm going to go be a parent right now.
Have a good one.